everybody, my internet name is Indigo, and today I'll be reviewing the creatively titled Cars. I already covered it in a previous video, but I'd like to go more in depth this time. And with the impending release of Cars 3 on the 16th of June 2017, what a better time than now to revisit the original. Released in United States of American cinemas on the 9th of June 2006, Cars was once considered by many to be Pixar's worst film, with a shockingly low 74% score on Rotten Tomatoes. If you were expecting this entire review to consist of me bashing the movie, though, you've come to the wrong place. Plenty of other YouTubers have already done that. Here on my channel, I defend things that no one else wants to. To go off on a tangent here, this movie was originally going to be called Route 66. Why did they end up calling it Cars instead? I know that it's a more franchisey title, but it's way too generic to trademark and search for. First of all, let's get the elephant out of the room here, the premise. For those of you who have been living in a cave for the past decade, Cars takes place in a world where cars and other vehicles are self-contained living beings. The most common criticism of Cars is that there's nothing in the story that requires the world to be like this, to which I say, fair enough. While I do agree that it does raise a lot of questions, such as if humans ever existed in this universe, how is it any more unbelievable than the premises behind thousands of other cartoons? You just have to suspend your disbelief for the sake of enjoying the story. Speaking of which, Cars tells the story of Lightning McQueen, a rookie race car whose only concern is winning the Piston Cup in the equivalent of a NASCAR race. While on the way to the most important race of his life, he ends up stranded in Radiator Springs, a ghost town on the forgotten Route 66. He ends up tearing up the main road and is forced to repair it for community service. During his stay, he makes friends with the locals and learns to slow down and enjoy life. Unlike most Pixar movies, Cars is a character-driven, no pun intended, slice-of-life story. It's very slow-paced and Pixar's longest film, clocking in at approximately 110 minutes, and I can understand why some people find it boring. However, maybe I'm just a really lenient person, but I really like this movie for its relaxed tone. When it wants to be emotional, it gives the audience enough time for the emotions to sink in, and while it's not the saddest thing in the world, there are a lot more emotional moments than you would expect. To go off on another tangent here, my biggest problem with Cars 2 is the pacing. It kept jumping from scene to scene and mood to mood, and not in a juxtaposition kind of way, and spent way too much time on robots-esque world-building gags. Come to think of it, robots have similar pacing problems to Cars 2. Back on topic, my favourite part of this movie is the theme. Every good kids movie has a theme that the adults can pick up on, while the kids can enjoy the humour and cutesy characters. The theme of Finding Nemo is learning not to be an overprotective parent. The theme of the Toy Story trilogy is the inevitability of growing up and having to leave your childhood behind. The theme of Cars is about how people rush through life and don't appreciate others, and we see this reflected in several characters. Until he ended up in Radiator Springs, Lightning McQueen had no friends and only cared about winning. Chick Hicks is what Lightning would be like if he didn't go through character development. Sally Carrera left her life in the city behind when she realised she wasn't happy there. The theme even spreads beyond the characters. Cars is really about dying towns in rural America. Radiator Springs was once a thriving town, but became forgotten after an interstate highway was built 40 years ago. The remaining inhabitants are so desperate that they assume anyone who visits, which is rare, a customer. Even though I can't relate to this, I can still understand it. Regardless of the circumstances, home is where the heart is. I really like Lightning McQueen as a character. To quote one of the trailers, he's a guy who thought he had it all who discovers everything he's been missing. If you don't have friends, you'll never truly be happy, and Pixar managed to pull off that message without being cheesy, which is quite the accomplishment. A well-developed character never fully loses their original personality. In the Toy Story trilogy, even after Buzz finds out that he's a toy, he still acts like a commander. Similarly, while Lightning McQueen becomes a much kinder car person, he still retains his snarkiness and tendency to get slightly panicked. Seeing how much he's grown is definitely my favourite part of Cars 2. Shame he was barely in that movie. Also, this movie contains two awesome songs, Real Gone and Life is a Highway, both of which reflect the theme of this movie very well. The former is about how you'll crash if you spend too much time in the fast lane, while the latter is about the unexpected events that make life special and makes me want to weep tears of joy. Seriously, look them up. In summary, Cars isn't for everyone, but it has a lot of merits that people frequently overlook. While lacking in excitement for the most part, it makes up for it with its heart. Life isn't just about the thrills, it's about learning to appreciate the little things. I can't believe that I didn't come to appreciate this movie until September this year. Disney seems to have forgotten what made Cars special. It wasn't about the fact that the characters are all sentient vehicles, it was really about learning to become a better person. I have faith in Cars 3. We don't know much about it at the moment, but what we do know is that it will be emotional and focus on Lightning McQueen again. If they can capture the spirit of the original and create a Toy Story 3 for my generation, then I'll be impressed. Inside Out and Finding Dory were fantastic. I know Pixar can pull Cars 3 off.